Your energy becomes powerful when you stop over-explaining. Carl Jung. In the silence between your words lies the truth of who you are becoming. There is a moment in every soul's journey when you realize that your deepest power has been bleeding away through the cracks of unnecessary explanations. You have been giving away pieces of yourself, fragments of your essence, to people who never asked for them. And in that giving, in that desperate need to be understood, you have forgotten the most sacred truth. Your energy is not meant to be scattered like seeds on barren ground. Carl Jung understood this profound paradox of human nature. He knew that the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Yet how many lifetimes do we spend explaining who we are instead of simply being? Picture this moment with me. You are standing at the edge of a vast ocean at twilight. The waves crash against the shore with a rhythm older than language itself. They do not explain their power. They do not justify their movement. They simply are, and in their being, they reshape entire coastlines. This is the energy Jung spoke of, the energy that moves mountains not through force, but through presence. The energy that transforms not through explanation, but through embodiment. You see, my dear soul, when you over-explain, you are not communicating. You are bleeding. You are hemorrhaging your life force into the void of others' expectations, their judgments, their inability to see you clearly. And with each word that flows from a place of defense rather than truth, you diminish the very essence that makes you magnificent. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." What irritates you most about having to explain yourself? What rage builds in your chest when you feel misunderstood? That irritation is your soul crying out, begging you to remember, you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to understand yourself so deeply that others' understanding becomes irrelevant. The compulsion to over-explain is born from an ancient wound, the wound of not feeling seen, not feeling valued, not feeling enough as you are. This wound runs deeper than childhood, deeper than this lifetime. It is the collective wound of humanity, the forgetting of our divine nature, the amnesia of our inherent worthiness. But listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for this truth has the power to set you free. You do not need to explain your light to darkness. You do not need to justify your growth to those who choose to remain small. You do not need to make yourself small so others can feel comfortable with their limitations. When you stop over-explaining, something miraculous happens. Your energy, which has been scattered like autumn leaves in the wind, begins to gather. It pools within you like water in a sacred well. It deepens, it purifies. It becomes so concentrated, so powerful, that its very presence becomes transformative. Jung understood this when he wrote, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." The awakening he speaks of is not a gentle sunrise. It is the lightning bolt of recognition, the moment you realize that you have been living in exile from your own power. Think of the people who have most impacted your life. Were they the ones who explained themselves endlessly, who justified every action, who sought your approval for their existence? Or were they the ones who moved through the world with quiet certainty, who spoke only when their words carried weight, who lived their truth so authentically that explanation became unnecessary? The mystics knew this secret. The sages understood this power. They did not convince anyone of their wisdom. They embodied it so completely that wisdom flowed from their very being like fragrance from a flower. A flower does not explain its beauty. It simply blooms, and in its blooming it transforms the entire garden. This is your invitation, beautiful soul. This is your call to remember who you are beneath the layers of explanation, justification, and the exhausting need to be understood. You are being called to step into a new way of being, a way where your energy is not dispersed but concentrated, not explained but experienced, not justified but lived. But let me be gentle with your tender heart as we explore this together. The journey from over-explanation to embodied power is not always easy. It requires you to face the deepest fears that drive your need to explain, the fear of rejection, the fear of misunderstanding, the fear of being alone in your truth. These fears are not your enemies. They are your teachers, your initiators into deeper wisdom. Jung reminded us that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your need to over-explain is a shadow, yes, but it is your shadow. And when you can embrace it with compassion, when you can understand the wounded child within you who learned that love was conditional upon being understood, that approval came only through explanation, then and only then can you begin to heal. The healing begins with a simple recognition. You are enough. You have always been enough. Your worth is not determined by others' ability to understand you. Your value is not measured by how well you can articulate your choices. Your power is not dependent upon external validation. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." This is the terrifying and beautiful truth you must face, accepting yourself so completely that you no longer need others to accept you. Living your truth so authentically that you no longer need others to validate it. Being so anchored in your own knowing that external opinion becomes merely weather passing through the vast sky of your consciousness. When you reach this place, and you will, dear one, you will, something extraordinary happens. Your relationships transform. The people who drain your energy through their need for constant explanation begin to fall away, replaced by souls who appreciate you for who you are, not for how well you can justify your existence. Your work transforms. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to prove your worth, you simply show up and let your competence speak for itself. Your creativity flows more freely because it is no longer filtered through the need to make others understand. Your very presence becomes a gift. People are drawn to your energy not because you explain it, but because you embody it. They feel safe in your presence because you are safe within yourself. They are inspired by your certainty because it gives them permission to find their own. This is what Jung meant when he spoke of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who others need you to be. It is the sacred journey from the false self that seeks approval to the true self that needs none. It is the transformation from the scattered self that explains everything to the integrated self that embodies everything. But understand this, precious soul, this transformation is not about becoming cold or distant. It is not about shutting down or building walls. It is about becoming so full, so complete within yourself, that you overflow naturally. It is about speaking from fullness rather than emptiness, from truth rather than need, from love rather than fear. When you stop over-explaining, you create space. Space for others to come to their own understanding. Space for relationships to unfold naturally. Space for your authentic self to emerge without the constant noise of justification. In this space, miracles happen. People begin to see you more, clearly not because you've explained yourself better, but because you've stopped clouding their vision with unnecessary words. Your energy becomes magnetic because it is no longer dispersed. Your impact becomes profound because it comes from depth rather than surface explanation. Jung understood that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But this transformation can only occur when you show up as your authentic self, not as a carefully explained version of who you think others need you to be. The universe itself operates on this principle. The sun does not explain why it shines. The moon does not justify its phases. The seasons do not defend their cycles. They simply are, and in their being, they create the rhythm of all life. You are part of this cosmic dance, this universal rhythm. When you align with your true nature, when you stop fighting against yourself through over-explanation, you begin to move in harmony with forces far greater than your individual will. You become a conduit for something magnificent, something that cannot be explained but can only be experienced. This is your power, beautiful one. This is your birthright. Not the power that dominates or controls, but the power that transforms through presence. Not the power that demands understanding, but the power that creates understanding through being. Carl Jung wrote, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." The same is true for your power. You do not need to seek it or earn it or explain it. You need only to remove the barriers you have built against it through your compulsive need to be understood. These barriers are made of old stories, ancient wounds, inherited beliefs about your worth. They are constructed from the voices of those who taught you that you must earn your place in the world through explanation, that love is conditional upon understanding, that your truth is only valid if others can grasp it. But these are lies, beautiful soul. Sacred lies that have served their purpose in your evolution, but are now ready to be released. You are ready to step into a new story, a story where your energy is sovereign, where your truth needs no external validation, where your power flows from the depths of your being rather than from others' approval. The transition is not always smooth. There will be moments when the old patterns reassert themselves. When faced with misunderstanding, your instinct will be to explain. When confronted with judgment, your impulse will be to defend. When meeting resistance, your habit will be to justify. These moments are not failures. They are opportunities. Opportunities to practice a new way of being. Opportunities to choose presence over explanation, embodiment over justification, truth over the need to be understood. Each time you choose differently, you reclaim a piece of your scattered energy. Each time you resist the urge to over-explain, you strengthen the muscle of self-trust. Each time you stand in your truth without defending it, you anchor more deeply into your authentic power. Jung reminded us that what you resist persists, but what you embrace dissolves. Embrace your need to explain with compassion. Understand that it came from love, a desperate love that wanted to be seen, to be valued, to belong. Thank this part of yourself for its service, and then gently, lovingly teach it a new way. Show it that you can be seen without explaining. Show it that you can be valued without justifying. Show it that you can belong without contorting yourself into shapes that others can understand. This is the great work, the opus of your soul's evolution. It is the transformation from the explained life to the lived life, from the justified existence to the authentic being, from the understood self to the self that simply is. In this transformation, you do not become selfish or uncaring. You become more loving, not less. Your love flows from fullness rather than need. Your care comes from choice rather than compulsion. Your presence becomes a gift because it is freely given, not extracted through explanation. Your relationships deepen because they are based on truth rather than on your ability to make others understand you. Your work becomes more impactful because your energy is concentrated rather than scattered. Your life becomes more joyful because you are no longer exhausting yourself trying to be understood by everyone. This is the paradox Jung understood so well. When you stop trying to be understood by everyone, you become deeply understood by those who matter. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you become clear to those who can truly see you. When you stop scattering your energy in all directions, it becomes a powerful force for transformation. The ancient alchemists knew this secret. They understood that transformation comes not through addition, but through purification, not through explaining the gold, but through removing everything that is not gold. Your authentic self is the gold, precious one. Your over-explanations are the dross that must be burned away. In the fire of this transformation, you will discover capacities you never knew you had. You will find strength in silence, power in presence, influence in authenticity. You will learn that your energy, when concentrated, can move mountains. Your truth, when embodied, can heal wounds. Your being, when fully owned, can inspire others to remember their own magnificence. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are." But being who you are is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily choice, a moment-by-moment decision to honor your truth over others' comfort, your authenticity over their understanding, your power over their approval. Each morning, you wake with a choice. Will you scatter your energy today through unnecessary explanations, or will you gather it into the concentrated force of authentic being? Will you diminish yourself to make others comfortable, or will you stand in your full power and invite them to rise? Will you live your truth quietly and completely, or will you exhaust yourself trying to make others understand it? The choice is always yours, beautiful soul. And each choice you make either feeds your power or depletes it, gathers your energy or scatters it, brings you closer to your authentic self or takes you further away. Choose consciously. Choose with awareness. Choose from love rather than fear, from truth rather than need, from the deep knowing of who you are rather than from the desperate hope of who others might allow you to be. In this choosing, you reclaim your sovereignty. You remember your divinity. You step into the fullness of who you came here to be. And in your stepping into this fullness, you give others permission to do the same. This is how the world changes, one authentic soul at a time. This is how consciousness evolves, through individuals brave enough to stop explaining their light and simply let it shine. This is how love spreads, not through explanation, but through embodiment. You are part of this great awakening, this collective remembering of human power and dignity. Your energy, when no longer leaked through over-explanation, becomes part of the great healing that our world so desperately needs. Jung understood that individual transformation is collective transformation. When you heal your need to be understood by everyone, you contribute to the healing of humanity's wounded relationship with authentic expression. When you reclaim your scattered energy, you add to the growing reservoir of conscious power on this planet. This is your sacred duty, your divine assignment, to become so authentically yourself that your very existence becomes medicine for others. To embody your truth so completely that explanation becomes unnecessary. To live your power so naturally that it inspires others to remember their own. The time for living small is over, beautiful one. The time for scattering your energy through endless explanations has passed. The time for your authentic power to emerge is now. Trust the process. Trust the unfolding. Trust that as you stop over-explaining and start fully being, the right people will understand, the right opportunities will appear, the right life will emerge. Your energy is too precious to waste on those who cannot see your value. Your truth is too important to dilute through constant explanation. Your power is too magnificent to diminish through the exhausting need to be understood by everyone. Gather your energy, precious soul. Concentrate your power. Embody your truth. The world is waiting not for your explanations, but for your authentic presence, not for your justifications, but for your embodied wisdom, not for your defenses, but for your vulnerable truth. As Carl Jung wisely said, the creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. Play with the possibility of being completely yourself without explanation. Dance with the freedom of authentic expression without justification. Fall in love with the power that emerges when you stop scattering your energy and start concentrating it in the beautiful truth of who you are. Your energy becomes powerful when you stop over-explaining, because in that stopping, you remember who you always were beneath the noise. Magnificent, complete, and worthy of love, exactly as you are. If this reflection spoke to your soul, subscribe. You are not alone. The journey is just beginning.